I'm just going to read off some figures, some stats that we know. So at this moment in time, there's a shade under 185 million cases worldwide, positive cases. Now, we're right in saying there, aren't we, that we could probably put that number closer to 500 million, because two in three don't necessarily show symptoms, do they?
Absolutely. And there'll be people who got it early in the pandemic who weren't sure what it was, and, who just got over it and didn't get tested. Yeah,
exactly. So whilst there's 185 million confirmed positive cases, there is a huge amount more which wouldn't have shown symptoms than those that have contracted it earlier. We're about 3,000 away from 4 million deaths worldwide. That's a massive number, 4 million deaths. It has slowed, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. I pulled up some fantastic data actually on the vaccines. So as of this moment, 24.2% of the world's population has had at least one dose of a COVID vaccine. I think that's incredible. Almost 25% of the whole population of the world.
1 in 5. Is that just adults, or is that including kids as well?
I think it's 18 and over. So it's 3.2 billion doses have been administered globally.
That is a massive global effort, isn't it?
It's
that
incredible.
Is absolutely incredible.
Absolutely super. I just cannot believe the response. In terms of the share, Canada, us, and Israel have had the most in terms of the percentage share of their population. In terms of vaccines. Another really interesting chart which I saw was the vaccine hesitancy. So obviously we've talked about the people that are hesitant to get the vaccine for whatever reason. When the vaccines first came out, I'm just going to find it quickly. Here we go. When the vaccines first came out in December of last year, almost 20% of the world population were unvaccinated and not willing to get vaccinated. So there was a 20% amount of people that didn't want to get vaccinated, and there was an additional about 15% who were uncertain about getting vaccinated. So we're talking about 35%. As of May the 31st, the people that are not willing to get vaccinated is now close to 10%, and the people that are not sure is now close to 5%. So I think that's a fantastic stat as well, the fact that we've pretty much half the people that are not willing to get vaccinated and who are uncertain.
I think that's brilliant. And what do you think the reason for that is? Do you think people have been coerced into doing that because they think, there's some sort of vaccine passport coming in? Or do you think that the misinformation has just been broken down enough for them to show more trust?
I think so. I mean, there's definitely been a lot more of that. But I mean, in terms of real world stuff, I know someone who was unsure about getting the vaccine. Now, they're not an anti-vaxxer. They're not a conspiracy person. They were just a bit unsure because they were maybe worried about how quickly it came out and stuff like that. And then this person's sister and her husband both contracted COVID and ended up being on ventilators. And I think that was enough to make this person get the vaccine because they didn't want to end up in that position. I think some people don't take it seriously until it actually hits their world, do they?
Well, that's it. When anything's closer to home, it's close to heart, isn't it? And you are going to act on it. And I was going to say, you reminded me of something to say there. It came in and it came out. It's great. It'll come back in a second.
Yeah, okay. Another stat I saw, this is widely publicised in the US over the last couple of days. 99.5% of the people that have died from COVID in the last 6 months in the US were unvaccinated. 99.5% of all deaths from COVID in the last 6 months were unvaccinated. I mean, that says a huge amount, doesn't it, for the vaccine's success?
Well, that's it. And there are always going to be people out there who are on that fringe of science denial, who are going to claim that vaccines don't do anything, etc. But the data just speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's US data. Now, in terms of UK over here, so NHS England figures, on the 20th of December, there were 1,094 people who had COVID on a mechanically ventilated bed. So over 1,000 people in the UK who were needing ventilation assistance because they had COVID. As of the 3rd of June in the UK, there are only 124 people needing ventilation. Now, again, a majority of those are unvaccinated as well. So all the data is pointing to success in terms of the vaccine. It's hard to disagree with that, isn't it?
Well, I say it's absolutely black and white. I mean, the only possible way you could disagree with it is just pure denial. And we know that there are people out there that think like that, you know, and will just deny it no matter what. But I think it's a great statistic. And I remember going on a speed awareness course once because I was a bit naughty. I went a bit too fast on a road.
I've done that.
And it was so boring. One of the questions we got asked was, somebody said that out of all the accidents that cause fatalities now, it's something like a staggering 97, 98% are due to human error. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And I remember being one of the only people who put a hand up and say, well, that's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Because what that means is that the cars are
doing its job. Yeah.
They're not failing on us. They're reliable. Yeah, it's the human error. We're not adding to those with faulty cars. It's a similar thing with the vaccine. I've heard people say, oh, all these people in hospital are unvaccinated. It's their fault. They deserve it. And I disagree with that completely. It's just clearly a case that the vaccines are working. So those who are left are those yet to be vaccinated.
Yeah, they could have been 18 and yet to take up the vaccine. Yeah, it could be any reason. That reminds me of a classic GCSE question with the thinking time and stopping time for physics. That is an absolute banker, isn't it? Like what could affect your stopping distance? That's like the easiest marks going, isn't it?
I used to love those questions. Absolutely, yeah.
Kids
used to love them. It's a banker.